What's going on, guys? My name is Rumble Skrash, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about something very unique, I think. I don't think there's a lot of videos talking about this, but we're going to be taking a look at the upcoming units and upcoming banners, PvP wise. It's going to be kind of my recommendations of how to manage your gems to save for certain characters or not. And I'm not just saying PvP limited rare recruits, I'm talking about legends too. So we're gonna use that as an excuse to, as you can see, do a tier list video of these PvP limited rare recruit units. But the main thing we want to talk about is to talk about the upcoming units, upcoming teams that are likely to become quote unquote meta, upcoming units that will counter this meta. So it's just a video so you can organize your gems and know when it is worth pulling for a unit or not. Like obviously you cannot just manage your gems PvP wise because there's another game like the main game. It's not only about PvP. But the thing is, if you, for example, have Roger in the normal game, maybe you don't need Luffy Sanji or even Kaido Big Mom. Like a lot of the units that are already out can clear a lot of the content, hard, difficult content like Shanks Crew, Roger, like a lot of these units. So in terms of the normal game mode, a lot of the units that are coming out, you don't strictly necessarily need them. You can clear it with Roger or Shanks Crew or some other characters. So the thing is, one very interesting thing is PvP because every unit has its different abilities, and every unit can actually change the quote unquote meta. So we're gonna be talking about this. First of all, we are gonna be talking about the first PvP units that came out. So it was Otama, Neko, and Jozu. Um, First of all, we're gonna put Otama in S tier. My criteria for this tier list, so in regarding the PvP limited rare recruits, is going to be their usability, like, and obviously if they're good or not. But Otama is very usable in a lot of teams. You can put her in the bench in a lot of mostly every team, and she's like one of the best healers in the game. She will help you a lot, and if you put her in the main team, she's gonna be giving you free spirit and fighter special city up level 6, which can be quite good planned correctly. So you can really abuse her with that. And and the thing is, she's useful in a lot of teams, in fighter teams, in rainbow teams, but in a lot of teams she's just in the bench. So she is very usable and good. So that's why she's in S tier. Just to a clarification of what the S tier for me is, like a unit that can go in a lot of different teams, not just one particular team. So next up we have Neko Mamushi. So in the case of Neko Mamushi, I'm gonna be putting him in actually B tier. So in the case of Nekomamushi, he's very good, and he can be very good in certain teams. Well, actually, I'm gonna put him in A tier. Like the thing is, he's buffing Striker and Cerebrals, and he's one of the only units that gives defense up buff at the very start, but very high, like defense of level 5 to Striker and Cerebrals. So you can plan it correctly and have a lot of defense at the very start of the battle just with this unit, and that's already a lot. So I'm gonna put him here. He's not as good, I would say, as Dotama because you have to plan your team, but in the teams that he's used, he's gonna be very good. And the other thing, apart from his health cut and defense with a special, which is not that high cooldown special, uh, one negative thing about him is that you cannot really put him in the bench, like because he only gives the defense up buff for the first 40 seconds. So you cannot really do much. when he comes out at the end. Like he's gonna give attack up, and maybe that will help you. But on the bench, other units are very more useful in kind of rainbow teams or any other team. So that's why I put him in A tier. And next up we have Jozu. And Jozu, quite a lot of people, that's gonna bring a lot of discrepation, but Jozu, I'm gonna put him in B tier. Like the thing is, he's very good for the in team, but just for the in team specifically. Like maybe you can do some use of him with the fixed damage. Like in my last video, you could use him as a bench in a kind of health cut and then fixed damage strategy. But his targeting is small, so yeah, you can use him, but his main use is in the in team. And plus, right now the in team meta, at least the Blackbeard and Katakuri one, is kind of dying. So I would put him in B tier. Like that means like he can be very good in one team, but in the others, not really. So that's my way of looking at things. Then we have PvP Sanji, which is awful. Sorry about that. Like I have his information here. Uh, he's giving okay, that information in the database is actually wrong, but he's very similar. He's giving attack up buff and then special city up buff to strength characters. And then in the special, he targets two enemies for 1.5, I think it is, attack. Like he does some damage, gives an attack buff, but yeah, he's not really that relevant. Plus, because strength teams are not really that relevant. There's a lot of good strength unit, but in terms of tanky strength units, there's none. Like, what tanky unit will you put? Like, there's no strength unit that gives defense after strength at the moment. So like maybe some like Jack gives a little bit, but not really. So I do not think a strength team is the meta, and plus what the things that he gives to a strength team are not really that great. So he's in D tier, like the worst PvP limited rare recruit so far. So sorry if you like Sanji, that's my opinion. You can always have different opinions, like that's just my opinion, but that's it. So next up we have Stasi. And Stasi, it's really good. It's like Nekomamushi. If you build a quick team, it's not the most optimal team, but she's gonna be really good in that. But just that. So maybe I am kind of hesitant on of putting her in B tier, but the thing is, I think the role that Stasi does in a quick team is much better than the role that Josu does in an in team. So I think I'm gonna leave her at A tier because she can be really good. Her special can do a lot of damage and at the early game, so that can help you somewhat. She's giving speed, attack, and defense. As for Josu, he's only giving defense and speed, so that might be a little bit of the difference. But yeah, I think she goes here, but I would say she's really close to Josu in like she's very good in one particular team. It's true that the in team is more meta, it's better than the quick team maybe, but I think the as a role in a particular team, she's giving more to her team than Josu is. So that's why I put her in A tier. And then we have obviously the God PvP Whitebeard. He's going at the top of S tier. He's actually really amazing. You have seen what he can do, like the high amount of damage that he does. He's giving HP up to quick characters that can go actually very good with Stasi, but I wouldn't really recommend it. And then his special is giving tons of damage, tons of defense down, guaranteed to all units the defense down, so that's very good. Not that high of a cooldown, and then his passive at the last half of the match, he's turning into God mode, activating his special over and over again, giving himself a lot of attack up. So that's very good. Obviously, you know that PP Whitebeard is going to be one of the best PP limited rare recruits. So that's it for the units that we have right now in game. in terms of PvP limited rare recruits. Now, this month, Calgara and Nolan and Kaku are two PvP limited rare recruits that should be coming out at half of this month or at the end of this month, I would assume. So these two units are very, very interesting, mostly with the release of Roger and Odin right now. Like Roger and Odin have changed the meta, have killed a little bit the in team, and they have changed the quote unquote meta to kind of a slasher team, very, very fast slasher team, and precisely uh, strength and size. So these two units in JP, they came out months before Roger and Odin, but right now these two units are very, very good. Both of them are slashers, and they are just gonna buff even more the slasher team that's out right now. Like I think these two units work amazingly well with that slasher team, and that's a thing to keep in mind. The first one I want to talk about, I will first put him in the tier and then I will explain my reasoning. I think Calgara and Nolan go straight up to S tier. I will explain what they do, but they are absolutely amazing. One of my favorite units that's gonna be coming out. Um, Look at this art also, it's very, very nice. And their abilities are the passive at max. For the first 40 seconds, attack up level 5 to himself, that's okay. And then for the last 40 seconds, attack up buff to himself, special city up buff to himself, level 6, that's very high. And then applies all units level 6 speed. But that's not even what he's good for. Like, it's a passive very similar than PvP Whitebeard. He just turns into God mode the last 40 seconds. But what's really good about him, it's his special with just 15 seconds cooldown, very, very low. He's also Psy and Slasher, so imagine the combos that you can do with that. And his special gives level 7 attack up buff to himself, which is okay, for 35 seconds. That's very, very important. These 35 seconds, it's like you can just stack it over and over again, and then applies level 7 speed to all crew members. That's for 35 seconds also. That's absolutely game changing. The thing is, he's slasher and side. So imagine the combination of this guy with Kizaru and B3 Law. Like, his special is activating so quickly. Imagine he's actually have the same cooldown as Kizaru, and you know how many times Kizaru activates the special. Imagine his buff stacking over and over and over again. Maybe you can get up to normally 2 stacks of this, so level 14 speed to all your units. That's gonna be amazingly good, and also level 14 attack to himself. And you can even, if you make your team very, very quick, you can even stack 3 of these, like level 21 speed. It's just insane for one unit. Like, probably you won't get it to 3 stacks, but it's just insane, the potential of this unit. And then he's dealing 2.5 attack in damage to one enemy. And some people might see that and think, oh, he's a finisher, but just one enemy. He's not that very good. Like, the reason he's very good is the level 7 speed to all units. And then you have the plus of he's one-shotting some unit because he has massive, massive attack up buff to himself. Like, he can get up to level 24, 20 something if you combine it with Kizaru and other units. Like, that's just gonna be dealing, even if the enemy has defense up level 6 or something like this, like, they're just gonna be like, hey, here's 4,000 damage, counting that you have reduced it by 60 or 70%. So that's just insane. He's dealing 11,000 damage, and then the defense reduce, but even like 3,000 damage or 4,000 damage to one unit is just insane. And he's activating that one over and over and over again. He's gonna be very, very good, and that's a unit to keep your eyes out for. So that's why I put him in S tier. I wouldn't say he's as good as PvP Whitebeard, but he's very, very close. He's very, very, really, really up there. He's gonna also, he's, as you can see, as you have seen, he's rainbow. So you can put him at the bench in any team, and he's gonna do wonders at the end of the match. And if you put him on your main team at the very start, he can do wonders, activating once or twice. In the first 30 seconds, you're gonna have level 20 speed. So that's very, very, very good. Also, you can put him in the slasher in the bench. So if one of your unit dies, then your whole team is just turns out very speedy. He himself is very, very, very fast, dealing a lot of damage. He's very, very good. And then we have Kaku. Kaku is also slasher, like I said, and I think he goes at the very top of A tier. I don't think he gets quite up there to the S tier, but let's read what he does. So he gives HP buff to strength, very similar to PP Whitebeard, but in terms of strength and not quick. And then he's basically a debuffer to Dex, to the Dex class, and really good at that. And the first 40 seconds, and then this is the part that's very good about him. At the very start, he's just giving with a passive level 2 defense down to all enemies. And you know how good and how rare it's a defense at the very start of the match. So giving just passively level 2 defense down to all enemies, it can be quite good. And he especially is giving level 5 defense down to Dex units. That's very circumstantial, but that can be really good. And he gives us a lot of damage in a medium sideways range. So the thing is, the use that I see him, like you can use him in a slasher team, but the main use that I see him doing is basically nerfing the PvP, well, not PvP, like the Legend Rayleigh, the Dex 6 plus, and if you plan it correctly, you can just use this unit, destroy Rayleigh, and then the enemy team is gonna be having very, very low defense and very low HP, and you will just kill it. So in a slasher team, that can work quite well. Plus, he's gonna be giving HP up to himself and Odin. If, for example, if you put him with Odin, so that's gonna be quite useful. The being able to nerf B26 plus Rayleigh, but I don't think it has that rainbow use. Like he's kind of rainbow with the good thing about his passive, which is the defense down level 2 to all units, all enemies. But I think other units like Calgara, Nolan, PP, Whitebeard are gonna be much better for putting at the bench. But he's definitely a unit to keep in mind. Now then at the most people are assuming that for our global anniversary we are gonna get Luffy Sanji. Probably, I think that's what's going to happen, but we are not sure. So we're gonna be taking a look at Luffy Sanji and their PvP abilities. So Luffy Sanji is a very, very interesting unit in PvP. The thing is, he's gonna get a little bit of replace with the release of Roger and Calgara and Nolan, but I'm gonna explain it. He gives a level 6 attack buff to crew members at the very start and level 3 speed up, so that's very good. He's Rainbow also. And then at a normal special city, like 32 seconds, he's giving massive, massive 3.5 attack. That's very, very high damage, like 3.5 attack to two enemies. So that's very good. And then he gives attack to all crew members for 20 seconds and massive speed to crew members for 20 seconds. Now, some of you might be thinking, hey, that's very similar to a unit that we just saw, which is Calgara and Nolan. And that's very, very true. The difference is that Calgara and Nolan have a 15-second cooldown and are giving the speed buff level 7 for 35 seconds. So they go over and over and over again, stacking this buff and being absolutely busted and making your units very, 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 very fast, ridiculous in a ridiculous way. And then yes, he gives less damage just to one unit comparing to Luffy Sanji, But the thing is that Luffy Sanji have a 32-second cooldown, so that's more than double the cooldown of Calgara and Nolan. I think that Calgara and Nolan is an amazing replacement for Luffy Sanji, and plus Calgara and Nolan it's only cost 20, and Luffy Sanji's cost 55 because he's a legend. So I think like obviously it's gonna be very good if you have Luffy Sanji and you can put him on a team. The other thing is that he's not slasher, so he doesn't work quite well with units like Kizaru or something like this to make him speedy. And he's not Sai because he's a dual unit, so B3 Law doesn't make him speedy. So that's the good things about Calgara and Nolan. So I think like it's gonna be very good if you pull him and if you can use him in a rainbow team, something like this. But you don't strictly need Luffy Sanji, so PvP wise, I wouldn't say you really need Luffy Sanji if you have Calgara and Nolan and Roger, because Roger is also giving speed up level 5 and attack up level 5 to all units rainbow. So Roger is another unit that kind of replaces Luffy Sanji. Plus, with his special, he's debuffing the speed of all the enemy units. So that's just like I explained. Yeah, that's just like debuffing the enemy team is like giving you speed in a sense, because at the end of the day, the unit that will attack is the one that has more speed. So that's very similar, and I think with the release of Roger and then when Calgara and Nolan comes out, Luffy Sanji is not gonna be that much of a required unit. He's gonna be a good unit in PvP, but not as required as it was in JP in his release. So that's it for Luffy Sanji, and we're gonna be talking then about these Conies. Now, some of you might be surprised, but I'm gonna put her in S tier. Let's read what she does. Connie's in the passive for the first 40 seconds, special city debuff to Sai. You already know where that's going. And for the first 40 seconds, defense up level 2 to in, so that's quite good. And then her special, it's gonna massively, amazingly debuff Sai units. Like level 2 defense debuff to all enemies, that's very good. She doesn't have as high as a cooldown as other units. Then level 6 speed and guard to Sai, debuff to Sai for 24 seconds. 100% silence to 2 Sai units, guaranteed 2 Sai units for 20 seconds, and 100% action bind to 1 Sai unit for 10 seconds. And just so you know, 28 seconds, that's actually lower than Roger's special. So you can actually just straight either silence or actually, sorry, not Roger, because Roger avoids all these things, but you can just silence Calgara and Nolan, you silence Kizaru, B3 Low, like, or action bind them for 10 seconds, which is very, very high 10 seconds. So and apart from that, she's debuffing Psy units, which Roger is affected by, and she's also debuffing Psy units in the special city charge. So she's gonna be a pretty much very, very important and almost required unit to counter this new meta that with Roger has been coming. Because a lot of teams are gonna have Calgara and Nolan, are gonna have Kizaru, B3 Law, Roger, a lot of Sai units, and she's an amazing debuffer to Sai. And her combination with Katakuri, B3 Katakuri, is gonna be so absolutely busted. Like you're making your the Sai enemy like in total level, I think 11 special city down. So that's amazing. Then Katakuri is buffing her with speed, and she is buffing Katakuri with defense. So just 2 units, quite a very good combination, and you just nerf the slasher team. So that's gonna be very, very good. That's why I put her in S tier, because if the slasher team and these side units weren't as relevant as they are, she wouldn't be as high. But seeing where the things are going, and also in the future with Calgara and Nolan, she's gonna be very, very good. So that's why I put her here. If at any point side units are not as relevant, I think she will not be in S tier. But the thing is, well, I will talk about these, which I think is the best typing in PvP, like int, psi, strength, quick, or dex. But that's it for conies. And then I have another very important legend to talk about, which is gonna be the release of, well, I have the image here, so it's Halloween Mihawk. So Halloween Mihawk is gonna be like in JP, it was a meta changing unit. It was so broken, like there was a new in team, different than the in team we have in global, and it actually was the strongest team and one of the strongest teams still in JP, and it's very, very, very broken this unit. And it's all because of this int Mihawk, this Halloween Mihawk. Every time he gives a crit, he gets a crit in. He gives defense down level 2 to all enemies, and you can stack this up to 4 times. So he just with normal attacks can give defense down level 8 guaranteed to all units. And then he has a very high cooldown, but he will well apply attack buff to himself. That doesn't really matter because he's 3 times attack damage to all enemies in a large forward range. Is probably gonna one-shot every unit in the enemy team because 3 times is a lot, and then the enemy units will have no defense, and then you have to combine this with legend. Let's search for it. Legend B2 Shanks, which is giving crit up to all units. Let's see, where is he? Here. So I don't think his Pyro Rumble abilities will be here. No. So well, I will explain. Like, he gives a special crit up level 7 to all int units, and then his special also gives crit up, and his passive does like every time he crits, all your int units attack up level 4, and you can stack it up to 4 times. So your int units and kind of slasher units are gonna have a lot of attack, a lot of crit, a lot of defense down, and when Mihawk activates the special, it's gonna be any team one-shotted right there. But the thing is, that's a very high cooldown, and the one Mihawk has. And yes, you can combine this with other units like Dofi. Dofi is a very good unit in that team too, and he with the special, he's actually also giving crit up, so that's very interesting. And he's giving also attack up, but the thing is, probably Dofi will not be killing the enemy units, and you will have to wait till Halloween Mihawk. The thing is that with this meta of the slasher team and very, very, very fast teams, probably I we would have to see. So, but probably the slasher team will beat this in team because the slasher team being as fast as it is, probably Mihawk will not activate the special. So that's a thing to keep in mind. I think Shanks crew and Odin, sorry, Roger and Odin have completely changed the meta, and I think I'm not sure, but I think that this slasher team will be able to beat the in team with Halloween Mihawk. So that's the thing to keep in mind. And then that's why I wanted to talk about Halloween Mihawk. There's this Ors. Ors is giving crit up level 10 to all int units. So as you can assume, he's gonna be a required unit for this in team. But as I said, he's only gonna be useful in this particular team, and also this particular team is gonna be one of the best, but I don't think it's gonna be the best. So I'm gonna put him in A tier, like higher than Jozu, because, well, probably I will put him higher than Stasi. Uh, because he's gonna be required for that particular very good team, but just for that team, like he's not really good at the bench in any team. So that's why I put him in A tier. If it turns out that the new in team that's gonna be coming out with the Halloween batch it's so broken, and can beat the slasher team. Maybe he will go up just because the how good that in team is gonna be, but we'll be seeing. And together with Halloween Mihawk, there's gonna be this Halloween Law, which is gonna give speed to int, defense down level 1 to all enemies, and then his special silence for this is 84. No, this is just force. 8 seconds to all enemies. So that's gonna be very, very good actually, silencing all enemies for 8 seconds. Yeah, his this law is very good in that new in team, but I think the slasher team will still be able to win. So, but that's the thing that we're gonna be seeing. Maybe these ores will get bumped up because you can put conies in the team, and then maybe you are delaying the slasher team, and you can make this your Mihawk pop off and absolutely kill the enemy slasher team. So that's gonna be a thing to keep in mind, but for the moment, I'm gonna put ores here. And then we have some very, very, very obscure PvP units coming out after ores, and it's gonna be Frankie, which is not really worth pulling for. He's giving buff to Dex and then debuffing quick units. And then Leo is gonna do the opposite thing. So he's gonna give a buff quick and give some debuff to a particular unit like paralysis for 23 seconds. So yeah, I would say these two units are probably here. Like they are bad because Dex teams are not really that good. Like yeah, you see some Dex teams, but with this slasher team or in teams or things like this, like they are always losing. Like if I see a Dex team, I'm attacking them because I always get the win. And quick teams, yes, but do you really want to put three PvP limited rare recruits in the main team? Like they are very good, but they don't have that higher stats. So they're probably gonna be the ones to die first with PP Whitebeard, Stasi, and this Leo. Like you could try it. Maybe I'm wrong with that. Maybe the Leo is a little bit higher, but I'm gonna leave them at C tier because I think they are really, really obscure and very quite bad actually. And then we have this Sova mask that it's actually a buff to Dex, but a much better buff than the Frankie one. So his abilities are not in the database. I don't really know why, but I'm gonna put him a little bit higher than these two last units because he's better than them. But it's the same as Josu. He's just good in Dex teams, and Josu is good in teams. So very, very circumstantial and obscure. So that's gonna be my tier list for the PvP limited rare recruits. And now, after having talked about Luffy Sanji, Halloween Mihawk, Halloween Law, there's also Halloween Shanks, but as B2 Shanks in the in team is so good, you do not really want to replace them. I'm gonna talk about the last unit that everyone's talking about, which is Kaido Big Mom. Obviously, in the normal game, they are really, really strong, and but let's see what they do in Fire Rumble. So this is Kaido. Kaido will give for the first 40 seconds HP up buff to himself level 10. That's whatever. And then defense up to all characters level 3. I think that's the strongest part about him. Because then after that, at the end of the match, yeah, he's going to give speed and attack, speed to all characters and attack to himself. And his special, yes, it looks really strong. He cuts the HP of one unit by 90%. That's very high. For 25 seconds, the cooldown it's not that high. And then but then he reduces his own cooldown by level 10. So you could do some stuff with him, but as you can see, his Dex, he's not that relevant, I would think. Like I haven't been able to test all these units that I'm talking about, so that's just pure speculation. But I haven't been seeing in JP that people use him that much. And then Big Mom is quite interesting. Like her passive for the first 40 seconds, special city up charge to int for by level 5. So that could can see a lot of use maybe in this new int team. People are not really using her, but I think she's one of the only units that gives special city up specifically to int, so that's a thing to keep in mind. And then she, at the end of the match, she also turns into kind of a god mode. So, and her specialty is just giving a lot of damage depending on the time remaining. So very similar to B1 Big Mom. So I would say they are good in PvP mostly because they are like two units in one. So I would say they are good in PvP, not really required. So if you want to pull for Big Mom and Kaido, it's gonna be mainly because of the normal game. But that's the thing. Like I would recommend saving a little bit the gems this month, all these gems that we are getting, all the rewards from the grand battle if you're farming it, like, and maybe pulling for Calgara and Nolan. That's the thing that I really recommend. The thing we are not sure how the Sugo Fest is gonna be with Calgara and Nolan because for the last PvP limited rare recruits, as they were debuting solo, they were guaranteed in 5 multis with one gem multi in the middle. So I would love if they do this, but as it's two PP limited rare recruits at the same time with Kaku and Calgara and Nolan, I don't really know if they're gonna do two parts, one guaranteed in the fifth multi each part. I would really love that, but I'm not sure. Maybe they will guarantee one of them in the fifth multi, but that's just pure speculation. I hope Calgara Nolan is guaranteed in some step because I think I really want this unit and I think that's really, really good. And then legend wise, I would recommend maybe if you pulled for Roger and Odin, maybe not pull for Luffy Sanji. Also in the normal game, I like you don't really need that Luffy Sanji if you have Roger, probably, maybe, I don't know. And then saving in the normal game, saving for Big Mom and Kaide, but on the in the middle of the way, I would recommend pulling for Calgara and Nolan, and also this Conies. Conies is really really good. I wouldn't recommend pulling for Halloween Mihawk because like before I would have recommended you to pull an Halloween Mihawk, but now I think that team is not as strong as it was in JP at its moment because there's the release of Odin and Roger are just, I think, able to destroy that in team. But I'm not really sure. Maybe no, and Hello Mihawk is one of the top tiers in PvP. So we're gonna have to wait and see that. But just so that you guys can have an idea, I would recommend that you pull for Calgara Nolan, then save your gems in anniversary, and then pull maybe for Conies, and then save for Big Mom and Kaido. I think that's gonna be my recommendation, and I think that's what I am going to be doing. I'm not gonna pull for Ors or Mihawk probably, but we are gonna be have to seeing how the steps look in the PvP Sugos, and we're gonna be having to wait a little bit. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It took a lot of time to search for all this information and prepare everything, but I hope you guys really enjoy it. I know a lot of people maybe if you love PvP were hoping for something like this, being able to know when the good units in PvP are coming out and when to save and when to pull. So I hope it helped you guys. I know I was interested in that and that's why I did this video. But that's it. So like, comment, subscribe. Put in the comments if you disagree with this tier list, if you think one of the units should be higher or lower, if you think a particular unit in the future coming out is gonna be worth pulling for PvP wise. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. So like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.